Good afternoon. We are members of Syndicate 7 Long Block Group. Our project is about SDG 7, which calls for affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all by 2030. We focused our research project on rural communities' access to electricity. The presentation will cover the problem identification and formulation backed up by literature review. We follow on with research methodology, analysis, and findings which have informed the group's proposed solution. The integration of subjects learned through PGTIP into the project, and finally we will share our solution development journey and proposed solution. The problem identification and formulation. This study takes a systems thinking approach to develop a solution for the rural households that lack the electricity grid connectivity to allow them access to electricity. It begins with a root cause analysis using the 5 why approach to understand the initial research problem that some rural communities do not have access to electricity. The underlying problem, last and 5th why, that rural communities cannot afford electricity services from the grid infrastructure, informed the research questions and initial formulation of a proposed solution to explore alternative electrification generation models that would be affordable for the rural communities. Literature revealed that the construct to consider in the project are access. Just under 1 billion people from developing countries, mostly rural communities, are not connected to the grid due to costly electrification through the national grid, and energy access deficits are higher in those areas. One of the reasons cited for this challenge is the distribution of electricity in the last mile. In terms of the infrastructure investment, grid connections have a high capital cost and a medium operational cost. The intent of this syndicate group was to conduct research to explore alternative solutions in contribution to the progress recovery of this target. I'll now hand over to Viwe to take us through the methodology, research analysis, and findings and solution development. Thank you, Viwe.
Thank you very much, Werner. The syndicate employed a mixed method research approach in conducting this study. This mixed method was an exploratory sequential design, which is a 3-phase design. The 3-phase design took into account the desktop research, review, analysis of available secondary data and reports, which was followed by key stakeholder interviews, the qualitative data gathering and analysis, which informed the survey or the quantitative data gathering and data analysis. All of these were all taken into account in formulation of the solution. In terms of the key insights that were gleaned from the survey, as well as the key stakeholder interviews in the next slide, the syndicate utilized the research design, as I've explained earlier, which has got all these 3 phases. Desktop, which informed theoretical propositions as articulated, the key stakeholder interviews, which informed the qualitative data analysis. The insights from this qualitative analysis then informed the household surveys that the group conducted. In terms of the findings from the data gathering and analysis done by the group, as illustrated in the next slide, the group found that, firstly, some rural communities do not have access to electricity because almost half of those that were surveyed households, they do not have electricity. As illustrated in the map on the slide, we see Thembisile Hani local municipality located in Mpumalanga province, Kwaggafontein area to be specific, where the community that was surveyed, half of which had access to electricity and the other half did not have access to electricity. This was important for the group because the communities, those who have access and those who do not have access, are equally affected by the issue of energy access because there is load shedding and load reduction, as we will see in the follow-up slides. Secondly, rural households, it was found within the survey, are actually willing to use alternative sources of energy, such as solar. This was an important finding for the group because from the key stakeholder interviews, one of the aha moments from the key stakeholders, at least 2 of them, was that communities in South Africa, where pilots have been conducted, find that alternative energy sources such as solar are actually inferior. That is the perception that they have. Therefore, the pilots that have been implemented in the Western Cape and KwaZulu-Natal yielded zero or no results in terms of being accepted by the community because of perceptions of being inferior. This was an important finding in this regard by the group. Thirdly, in terms of affordability or willingness to pay, the communities indicated mostly that they'll be willing to pay at least 500 Rand once-off connectivity fee to gain access to the grid. The fourth point, or the fourth finding, is that most of the households tended to agree to spend at least between 250 and 500 Rand on electricity consumption per month. That informs the affordability as well as willingness to pay. Most of our respondents, which was also quite a key insight and key finding which informed the solution, was that they were willing to adopt or to participate in a lay-by scheme whereby they can be able to invest in energy access upfront and be able to have a benefit of this later on. Analysis was conducted on SPSS, as shown in the next slide. These are the findings from the statistical analysis that was done by the group. If we then move on from this in terms of the solution development journey of the group, as indicated by Werner earlier, the group started off with a root cause analysis, followed by data gathering, followed by insights from the key qualitative stakeholder analysis. All throughout this, the group was utilizing a systems thinking approach. The systems thinking approach was very important for the study because the Sustainable Development Goals in nature, an issue of interconnectedness, it's a system. It was very important for the group to utilize this form of analysis. Hence, the group utilized a human-centered design in formulating, in crafting a solution. All throughout this journey, the group used different tools such as discussion, idea sponsoring, brainstorming, a solution options analysis workshops throughout, and selection and elimination of solutions based on the constructs that have been gathered from the research survey. It was a reiterative process which led to prototyping and constant interaction with the stakeholders to test the solution, and finally the solution that we'll present here today. To move on to the next slide, this is just an illustration of the thought process of the group in developing the solution and also ensuring that the solution is viable, is sustainable, is useful for the communities, and it is affordable. I will now hand over to Greg to take us through the subject integration from all the course material that the group learned throughout the PGDIP journey throughout this year. Over to you, Greg.
Thank you, Viwe. Of the 6 important subjects integrated into the research project, 3 subjects were deemed critical to arrive at an appropriate sustainable solution. We first looked at financial and management accounting, and in particular the balanced scorecard. The balanced scorecard is a powerful tool to align performance to targets. And having analyzed the challenges that Eskom faced, it was clear that there was a result of incorrect priorities, assigning too much weighting to the financial lagging indicators and less so to the non-financial leading indicators, which would create long-term sustainability. This syndicate felt the need to create a balanced scorecard for the group to ensure appropriate performance measurement of both lagging and leading metrics to ensure the success of the organization in line with the 10-year plan. A budget and the 10-year plan was also deemed necessary for planning and control. The income statement, balance sheet, cash flow statement, and discounted cash flow were prepared on a 10-year basis to test and check the sustainability of the solution and create a target for management. From a microeconomics point of view, and with the new policy changes allowing entities to produce their own power, there will be a proliferation of new RPPs in the market with viable substitutes. Electricity is a normal good, and therefore based on the principles of elasticity of demand for substitutes from a normal good, as the price of Eskom's tariffs increase, the demand for other alternative solutions as substitutes increase. That being said, RPPs will enter the areas where economic profit is maximized, considering accounting profit and opportunity cost to the supplier. Naturally, the focus will be in the urban areas where there's high willingness to pay, while the rural areas present a higher risk regarding affordability and the likelihood to default on payments. Thus, there will continue to be a lack of solutions rolled out in rural areas, despite the increase in the supply of the alternative solutions. This presents an opportunity to introduce low-cost, affordable products into the rural market and create awareness for the alternative solutions with the intent to garner willingness to pay for larger, more sustainable solutions like solar systems in the household. Initially, donor funding and a strong marketing strategy is required. Marketing. Using the STP framework, Mabone Mobile will segment the market between customers with and without electricity, as Viwe said. However, having gathered information from the surveys, it is clear that both segments require alternative power solutions due to problems with load shedding and load reduction. This increases the available market for Mabone Mobile. The syndicate considered the 4 Ps to make informed decisions which would drive outcomes aligned to the balanced scorecard and projected financial statements. From a product perspective, at the heart of decision-making was the understanding of the customer's needs and perceived value. The surveys highlighted the need for affordable solutions, and they were not averse to considering solar as an alternative solution. From a place perspective, the central location of the kiosk was strategic to ensure distribution of the product was successful. Price. It was key to partner with the correct suppliers to address affordability by achieving the lowest prices. And lastly, promotion. The promotion of the message to these customers will be facilitated by a traditional and digital means of communication. Traditional advertising from outbound mediums like branding the kiosk and tables and chairs, as well as strategically located billboards. Digital marketing using geolocated Facebook ads and other social media platforms like WhatsApp and TikTok will be used to get through to the rural people. I will now hand over to Viwe to take us through the proposed solution.
Thank you very much, Greg. Mabone Mobile is our proposed solution. Mabone refers to lights, means lights, in many of South Africa's languages. This is a solution illustration of our solution, which covers the aspect of entrepreneurship, as we'll be targeting women-owned rural businesses, the investment, as Greg has mentioned, youth employment and partnership with TVET colleges to attract engineering students who could be roped into this project to offer the services as well as the installation of the different solutions. Capacity building in this end in terms of training of these graduates. The community benefit is a big factor of Mabone Mobile. We see this kiosk as a Wi-Fi hotspot, a hub of connectivity, which will ensure traffic into Mabone Mobile for the products that we will be selling, the lamps, the torches, and so on. This leads me to the next slide. We're in the next slide. These are some of the examples of the products that will be sold within Mabone Mobile kiosk. Again, catering for both those who have access to electricity and those who do not have access at an affordable, reliable price. If we move on to the next slide, this is Mabone Mobile. Mabone Mobile is about energy for sustainable livelihoods. If we can summarize in terms of the solution, its viability, its sustainability, number 1, is centrally located. 2, the sale of these affordable products, including all the rechargeable torches, as I've mentioned, are within reach within the household because of the central location. There's a need to create awareness around the usefulness of solar and other alternative energy sources, and this solution takes advantage of this opportunity within the communities. Thirdly, the availability of the lay-by option is an innovative endeavor by the group to ensure that there is access for all at an affordable price. As I've mentioned, the employment and training, given the low levels of employment within the area, particularly in rural areas. In summary, we believe our solution is financially viable, as given in our model. Our solution is sustainable as it focuses on green energy. Our solution is useful to the community as it will provide for lighting, as well as continuity of businesses that are within and around the area. With that said, we believe that this is a viable and sustainable solution. We thank you very much. From Syndicate 7.